losing interest. They won't find no better than this. I swear, girl, if you leave, just let me know so I won't look down you.
Peace to the world. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone's healthy. I hope your families are healthy. I came on here just really quickly. I'm going to break down some relationship status type of information, right? Because I feel like within this millennial generation, things are kind of skewed. We're getting married less. There's more single people. There's more virgins. And I just feel like there's a bit of an issue. Not that being a virgin is an issue, but it's probably an issue at 30. But anyway, I want to come on here. I want to express some things to you. You have to excuse the sweat, man. I'm out here in Ocho Rios, Jamaica. It's a bit humid. It's real tropical. But nonetheless, my view right now that I'm looking at is absolutely beautiful. So I'm really not regretting anything. I love this place. So let's get into some numbers. Black women between the ages of 20 and 40. I really want you to listen to what I have to say. It's really important. At the end of the day, all women, right? What I'm trying to do here is talk about black relationships, and I'm trying to talk about black men. I'm trying to support black men, understand black men, and I want other people to understand black men because you're not in our situation. So I'm going to be breaking this into a 3-part kind of short series. It'll be really quick videos, but nonetheless, in my opinion, I'm feeling like there's a perception that all women want their men to make like 6 figures. Like at the least, like the moment they meet them, it's like, hey, do you make 6 figures? Now, I don't know if that's true. Only the women know if that's true, right? It's their prerogative. It's their perception. It's possibly their idea. But I want to bring us back into reality, right? Take us out of the Cinderella story and bring us back into reality. So part 1, I'm going to share these overall numbers with you. This has nothing to do with race or anything yet. That'll be part 2 and 3. But part 1, I just want to give you the overall numbers, right? So listen to this. Approximately $67,000, right, is the average household income. So the average household income is approximately $67,000, right? 34% of American households make over $100,000. Just 34, so that's about 1 in 3. So immediately, what is this telling you? That the average person, majority of Americans, don't make 6 figures. So if you as a woman is trying to find a man that makes 6 figures, you're already putting yourselves, in regards to percentages and statistics and numbers, if you believe in that, whatever, you're already doing yourself a disservice by trying to specifically find a man that makes an exuberant amount of money, right? And mind you, this is all ages from 18 all the way up to 80, right? Just adulthood. So if you can imagine, right, young black woman between the ages of 20 and 40, that number is even worse as you get younger, right? Most people make more money as they get older, not necessarily the other way around. Now check this. Even though a household might make over $100,000, right, 50% of these households still live paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because they're living beyond their means. They make a certain amount of money. So now their accountant or the banker or whatever is telling them, hey, you can buy this home, right? This is your limit, right? This is like your plateau. And then they go and buy that home that is just over their limit. So 50% of households that make over 100,000 are still living paycheck to paycheck, right? Only 1% of American households make over $500,000. So when you listen to this music and you listen to all these things, just be very mindful of what you're actually intaking, because some of this stuff is just not reality. It's a complete Cinderella story. It's a fantasy. So here we are. We're going to start part 2, right? Now, we talked about part 1, what the overall numbers look like, right? Majority of Americans don't make 6 figures. That's already to be said. So having this idea that your man needs to be wealthy already before the age of 40, you're already doing yourself a disservice. It's a fantasy. It's not reality. So you need to scale your numbers back. Part 2, we're going to talk about the demographics, right? So we're talking about different numbers, different race and ethnicities and what their households make, because I wanted to try and really drive home with black women because that's who I care about. Obviously, I care about all women and all people, but I date black women. So it only makes sense that I focus on black women and trying to help them and trying to overall build the black community, right? Like, I am someone that is focused on that. So that's what we focus on. But let's talk about all the demographics, right? So 51% of Asian households make over $100,000. 37% of all Caucasian or white homes make 100,000. 37%. 27% of Latino or Hispanic households make over 100,000. Right? And last, and I guess least in this case, 22% of black households make over 100,000. So when you see those numbers there, it's already driving home that majority of Americans don't make over $100,000. They don't make six figures. So that just goes back to the scaling. But again, talking about black people, talking about black families, talking about black women, as you can see, a small portion of black men are making six figures. Now, 18% of white men make over 100,000. At the same time, only 8% of black men make over 100,000. Only 8% of black men make over 100,000. So if you kind of are following along, your chances of finding that guy that makes six figures, that black man that makes six figures, you're putting yourself in a situation where you could be alone or single for a very long time. What I've been talking about thus far is the overall age group. So I'm talking like 18 all the way to, 80, if you will, right? So as you can imagine, when it comes to income and salary, it's most times when you're younger, you make less, right? So if 22% of black households are making 100,000, that's just about 1 in 5 households, right? You can imagine that it's worse for young black millennial men, right? So that's what we'll talk about in part 3 a little bit. We're going to get into it right now. Now, in part 3, this is where I really and truly, honestly, I want black women from the ages of 20 to 40 to really drive home and listen to what I'm about to tell you in regards to black men and what they make. Young black men before the age of 40, right? So from 25 to 40, these are the black men that I'm talking about. I really want you to listen to what I'm about to tell you. All right. Now, we're going to skew in a bit more into the millennial age group with the men, right? 25 to 40, age 25 to 40. So here's this number, and listen to this. Approximately 90,000 black men, 90,000 between the ages of 25 and 40, make over $100,000. Now remember, that includes ball players, actors, entertainers, so forth, so forth. They soak up a lot of that number, right? Only 90,000. Now, as you can imagine, right, you have criminals, you have, dope dealers, you got scammers, you got all these things. You can include that, and you can safely say that there are 100,000 black men at the least that make 100,000 a year. Right? If you are into that, right? If you're into dope dealers, scammers, and criminals and stuff, it's a reality. So you can definitely say like 100,000 black men make over $100,000. Now, here's where you can get into an issue, right? Because I looked up the amount of black women there were between the ages of 20 and 40. Because as you can imagine, most times, right, a woman that's age 25 probably wants to be with a man that's age 25 to 30. A woman that's age 30 probably wants to be with a man that's between 30 35. Most times, right, that's the case. So when you look into the Census Bureau, and obviously the census isn't perfect, right? It hasn't been able to track all women, but approximately, right, between the ages of 20 and 40, this is just black women, specifically black women. There are 6.7 million black women, approximately, right, between the ages of 20 and 40. But I just told you that there's only 100,000 black men that make over 100,000, right? So just to put things into concept, right? The amount of black men that make 100,000, that's only about 2% of black men, right? Between the ages of 25 and 40, keep that in mind. It's only about 2% of black men. Now, when you take that 100,000 and then you attribute that or divide that by that 6.7 million black women, what I'm basically telling you is you have just around a 1.5% chance of finding that black man that makes over 100,000. You basically have 1% of a chance of finding a black man that makes over 100,000. Now, again, this is between the ages of 25 and 40. So what I'm trying to do for the millennials, what I'm trying to state is you're going to have to get a bit more old school. And you're going to have to get out of this fantasy world, this Cinderella story of finding this Prince Charming. Okay, black men between the ages of 25 and 40 are not Prince Charming. We're in the United States of America. We're the most attacked species on the planet. Not on the planet, but yeah, on the planet. We're the most attacked species on the planet. It's just what it is. If you want to argue, you can argue. But with those kinds of barriers and circumstances, you have to believe that it's easier said than done to make six figures between that age. It's not easy. Now, mind you, we're not playing any victimhood. We're not trying to be victims, right? Or quitters and say we can't do it. I'm just saying you have a better chance of building with the man for 5 to 10 years to make him make 100,000 than opposed to looking for someone that makes 100,000. You're just doing yourself a huge disservice by doing that. So I think that you should perhaps just, how can I put it? Just have a better route, right? Have a better understanding of what you need to do as a woman to support and help your man, right? If it all depends on, if you're career driven or if you're more laid back, you're the more traditional kind of feminine role, right, in the household. It all depends. But nonetheless, that is what I'm trying to state to you is the amount of black men that make that kind of money. If you're into black men, you're going to have to reprioritize what you want out of a man, right? Start looking for men that have, a great spirit. Start looking for men that have, intelligence, have a good heart, right? But most importantly, look for a man that has ambition. Because if you can find a man with ambition, that six figures will eventually come. It's inevitable, right? So like I said, we're not trying to play victim, but we do need to understand the world's circumstances and how they treat black men, which is probably the bottom of the barrel. So it's difficult for us to get in positions of power and compared to other groups. Like I just said, Asians, white folks, they're in much more positions of power. They usually get the director jobs, the manager jobs, so forth, so forth. It just is what it is. But I'm going to get out of here, man. It's hot as hell. Excuse the sweat. Ochi is just completely hot as hell. It's humid. But nonetheless, it's still beautiful. I'm telling you, the view that I have, it's just second to none. So hopefully that helped, give you some insight. And hopefully you can make better choices in the future and help out your overall dating status or marital status, whatever is going on with you. But other than that, peace to you.